Hello everyone and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I am creating a Happy Meal card using the amazing High Flying Adventure stamp set by My Favorite Things as well as the Slim Film City by Mama Elephant. Now before I start with the images, I am going to ink blend a background. Now I trimmed down a panel to just slightly smaller than a slimline size, so this is 1/8 of an inch smaller as well as less high than a standard slimline sized panel, and I am going to ink blend a cloudy sky using some different distress inks. So this stencil that I'm using is a cloud stencil by My Favorite Things, and I'm using Stormy Sky, Faded Jeans and Chipped Sapphire for the sky here. Now I'm twisting and turning my stencil and I am blending those different blues on this panel. This panel is Transotype Perfect Coloring paper, the same paper as the one I will use for my images later on. And I'm just working my way. I'm not switching my brush because, well, these blues are all sort of the same and I don't mind any contamination or things like that. Also going back and forth between the colors, and I don't need to go all the way because I'm going to cover the bottom using the city skyline from the Slim Film City by Mama Elephant. So I cut out two borders. These are long ones. I don't need this long of a border, but this way I can ink blend just in one piece and then I can cut them in half and have four borders that could be used on this card. Now for the ink blending of this city skyline, I am just ink blending Seedless Preserves and the stick Concord from the bottom towards the top, fading out into the white of the cardstock. So I'm not completely covering these borders because I want a really fluffy and soft card in the end. So this is the first one, and now on to the second one, which is less high, but then again, if you're covering one by another, then you don't need all the paper underneath it. So I have still a lot of wiggle room. And then once I'm happy with the blend, I will cut both of them in half, and in the end I will only use 3 of the 4 I created, but I'm just keeping the fourth one in that die set on the back in case I want to use it on another card. So here I have my borders and I want my sentiment to be on one of them, on the bottom one. So I am figuring out how I'm going to use them on my card, and once I know that, then I can stamp out the sentiment. So now that I know what I'm going to do, I am using in this adorable stamp set, the sentiment from in the set itself, to stamp out onto the lowest border that I'm going to use. And I'm using the same ink as later on for my images, being the Gina K Design Amalgam ink. And then I can start layering everything. Now, as you see, these borders are a bit wider than my slimline panel. No worries, I'm going to trim off the excess each time. And I will also be playing with a bit of dimension. So my second border is going on there with a bit of foam tape. So this is from Scotch, and I'm just going to cover the complete back as much as possible. And then I am adding it to my panel. Now also here there is some excess, and that I will try to trim off with my scissors. Due to the foam tape, sometimes it isn't as easy to trim off with your trimmer, but if it works for you, then you do that. Sometimes I also do it, but just in this case I thought that I might be better off just trimming it off with my scissors. And then this one I did with the trimmer, just because my scissors aren't big enough and I don't want to snip into the image and have a strange looking thing. So that's why, but it's not ideal neither, because this trimmer isn't really made for, well, sticky stuff. So sometimes it looks a bit weird, but it worked out fine. And then I'm onto my final border there with my sentiment, which is important to align correctly because, well, the sentiment is on there, so it should be completely on the panel. I'm first making sure that the bottom is aligned with the other height of my second border, and then I am adding it to this panel. Trimming off the excess again, and then my background is finished. So I can start on my images. As I said before, I have stamped out these images with Gina K Designs Amalgam ink, and I did this onto Transotype perfect coloring paper. Now, since I have that blue sky and then the purple city line, I am going to create a purple plane. And I really like this purple combination. I used it in the past and then I kind of forgot about it. So I'm glad that I used it again today because it's such a powerful purple, but at the same time really soft because of the lighter stones that I'm using as well. Also, this is my first layer, so I'm quite gentle with adding lots of shadows. I can always add more with my second layer when I'm not happy about it, but it's harder to get rid of the dark colors than to add them. So as you can see here, there is just too much of the light color, so I am going a bit bolder with my shadows. And I'm working my way from darkest to lightest. This is how I like to color with my Copic markers, but if you prefer adding first a base coat or starting from lightest to darkest and coming back towards the lightest, then that's what you do. You just enjoy the coloring process. There is no reason to do something that you're not comfortable with. This is something that should be fun, so just do whatever you like doing. Adding a bit of the dark color on the edge as well, and then I'm filling up the rest with the lightest one. And if I'm not happy with the blend, I just can go back over it. Just in case you're doing that, make sure that your paper can handle a lot of alcohol markers. If I was using Nina, I wouldn't have done this because Nina cannot handle as much as this paper, so then I would maybe experience some bleeding, and you don't want that. So I'm not using a lot of Copic markers today. Also, the adorable critters are going to get the same color just to keep it a bit easier. Also, you don't need to always give every image another color. If you're like me and you're building up your Copic marker stash, then you also don't have all the options open. Just be a bit creative about your background and think about which colors can go with it, but you don't need like every color that exists onto your card. So I'm just fixing up a few areas. This is a red violet that's harder for me to get rid of if I have made some mistakes. So I just use my heat gun after using the colorless blender, and in my opinion it really helps to not have the colors again going outside the lines. It sort of stops the spreading, in my opinion. It might be wrong, but it works for me, so that's what I'm doing. I can only suggest it to you. Maybe you have the same issue from time to time, so that can be a help. I'm onto these cuties. I love the fact that you have like one plane without critters inside of it or on top of it, so that you can really customize this plane. Also the fact that the other one is hanging like by a thread. I just adore it. It's so cute. You can add it to any image in the stem set and also to other images. Or if you have a balloon, for example, you have here a string with the image on, so just add a balloon on top of it. There are so many ways of using these critters, and I think it's adorable. So yeah, I'm in love, I know. But this kind of images really always like, yeah, it just convinces me every time I see a critter with a bigger head than the body. I need it. I don't know why, but I love them, and I love this designer by my favorite things. So as soon as I saw this one in the sneak peeks from this month release, well, oh, when I'm sharing it, it's probably the next month. It all depends, but from the March release, this truly was my favorite stamp set released. Must be honest about it. I'm using the same light colors as I sort of used for the clouds as well. It's the same blue family there for the clothes of these cuties. I don't want to distract too much, but I think that this blue really matches with the background that we created just earlier. So that's why I'm using this. And then onto the die cutting, using the matching dies. And then I can start playing around with placement of these critters and images and just have a bit of fun. I must admit I die cut everything. I laid everything on a little pile. And then when I wanted to adhere everything, you can see here, I lost a cloud. And well, I'm doing the voiceover quite a while after creating the card. There has been a week or 2 weeks now, and I still haven't found the fourth cloud. So that's ridiculous. But it happened. So I'm just going to use 3 clouds. But that's fine. I love the number 3, but I just prefer coloring everything in one go and maybe color a bit too much that I will not choose afterwards. But I don't like returning to my Copic markers when I just finished, you know? So I have added a midnight panel on top of my slimline card base. As I said in the beginning, the panel that I ink blended on is slightly smaller, so I wanted to have a color that matches with everything that I'm doing here on the edges that are peeking from underneath this panel. So I just thought about this midnight. It's from Concord and 9th, the most amazing colors of cardstock. Truly, I am a fan, and this is not asked by anyone to say, but I truly adore Concord and 9th. If you're looking for a brand where you want to have some colored inks from to stamp sentiments from with, or just have a pack with rainbow colors of cardstock without having to buy each color separately, Concord and 9th. Truly. Truly. Okay, so now I'm adding this panel onto my slimline card base, and once that's done, I am going to add my critters. Oh, okay, I'm really excited about this card. It's soft, it's cute. There isn't a lot going on when you talk about the amount of images, but if you see this, do you think that a card needs more images or not? Because lately I'm really enjoying just featuring one or just a few images and then just trying to do something stunning with the background and just have everything reinforcing each other without going overboard with crazy amounts of colors, with crazy amounts of images, and I'm really enjoying that. So maybe you do too. It's sort of a cast card, but then really elegant, I think, because of the slimline. So that's what I like doing lately. So I'm trying to check the layout now, and once I'm happy I can remove the backings and add everything. But before I did that, I decided to add some pieces of thin foam squares on that string as well on the back to just reinforce this image as well. And I'm just adding and adding. Really, this image is truly my favorite. And then it's time to add some details. So for this card, I decided upon different things. I am using Stickles today, Stardust, as well as some hard droplets. So I decided upon clear hard droplets from Little Things from Lucy's cards. I'm only going to use a few, and I'm going to scatter them all over this card, but it's so subtle. But it's an extra detail, and it's a heart, and I love adding hearts to my cards. I don't mind who it's going to, because hearts are life. I had once someone of you reacting that there was somebody they knew, they were like asking about the hearts and if it's not a love card. No, we use hearts, and we can use it on any card we make just because we can, and we are the creators. So if we want to add a heart, then we add a heart, and nobody can say anything else. That's my opinion. So if you're watching now, well, I still remember it, and it's a comment that you gave me, like, or it's a reaction that was like a while ago. So, but it's still in my head. No, we can use hearts any day we want to. Onto the clouds, I added a subtle detail of these stickles, and for the rest, I'm not really going to add anything more. This is a cute card. I think it's a subtle one with that amazing plain that is in the most gorgeous purple combination ever. And that is it for today. I truly hope that you enjoyed this video, and of course that you like the end result. You can always give this video a thumbs up if you do. I would truly appreciate it. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video and being around my YouTube channel. I truly appreciate it. You are the best. I hope you have an amazing day left, and I will be back soon with some new crafty inspiration. Bye!